And here we are just in time for another video. And during this video, we're going to be looking at how do shore excursions work and what your options are when you're traveling on Oceania. So we'll start with a little bit of a foreword. It's, you could say, a forewarning. Talk about some options and caveats, and then talk about the 7 deadly sins of shore excursions. That should be interesting. And for those of you who've traveled a lot on cruise lines, you'll recognize all of these, I suspect. And then we'll finish up with a summary. So let's go to the foreword. First of all, the cruise ship is not going to wait for you if you are a lot late. Do not be this couple apparently running barefoot back to the cruise ship because they're not going to wait. They're going to continue to pull away. There is a all aboard time in the currents. You need to be back on the ship. And for my wife and I, we do not want to be anywhere near close to that. We want to be back on the ship an hour before it's supposed to depart. You should always carry the daily currents with you. It's going to have important information if something happens on who you can contact. And as you're doing your planning for shore excursions, whether you dock, which has a fairly orderly embark-debark process, or tender, which is orderly, but there's some unpredictability to it because you have to wait for the tender to come back to you. It's going to have an impact on you, and how long that tender is going to have an impact. So again, you got to be careful on how you're organizing your shore excursions. Ultimately, different people reach different risk decisions on this. Some people only want to do personalized tours, and so they don't do anything with Oceania. Other people only want to work with Oceania because Oceania will wait for their tours to come back if one of their tours is being held up. And so, and then you've got people in between that kind of like to mix and match based on the port and what the various offerings are. All right, well, very good. We've gone through the foreword, a forewarning. Let's move into Oceania shore excursions. So first of all of the shore excursions is listed out there. So you can go look at every port and look at the different tours that are offered. And then you can go into the individual cruises and look at what the tours are offered. Oceania claims that they have more than 9,000 different tours. I didn't go through and count them. I'm going to take them at their word that there are 9,000 of them out there. That's an awfully big number. If you book a certain number of tours, and that's usually 6, but it's really based on the number of port days, so it could be higher. The tour price for all of those tours is reduced by 25%. Occasionally, Oceania will struggle with basic math and do some odd things on how they're calculating out that 25%. So either you or your tour travel agent should go back and check that they actually did the math right. And what I have seen on shore excursions is some of them will be at full price and others will be completely free as they're trying to get the number to the right number. But you should go through and calculate it and just double check that you're actually getting the 25% off if you have the required number of tours. As you can see at the image on the bottom, there are lots of different excursion types that tailor themselves to the different types of passengers that are going to be on Oceania tours. And then they also have these activity levels that help at least start to guide you. And I've got to be careful here. For some people, what is easy is strenuous to others. And so you have to figure out where you fit within this, and then what's your groove? What activity levels do you want, and you feel comfortable accomplishing with Oceania? There are some complaints in the community that the Oceania shore excursions are too big, but that's a personal judgment. So those folks, some people think the Oceania tours are fantastic, and that's their number one choice. In fact, they only do those. Others don't do any, and others mix and match. So you have to kind of figure out what is a good fit for you. Shore Excursions Group is another group that offers a lot of different tours They claim that the tours are a smaller group, higher quality, less expensive, and they're guaranteed to return you to the ship on time. On their website, you can load in your cruise line, cruise ship, the sail date, and sail is misspelled. It's S-A-I-L. We're not selling any cruise ships. Sorry about the misspelling there. And it will load up the applicable tours. What I have found is that they are smaller group. They are high quality, and in some cases higher quality. Sometimes they're less expensive, sometimes they're more expensive. And I have found that they're very serious about guaranteeing to get you back to the ship on time. In fact, we were on one of their short excursions where the van crashed, the brakes failed, and they still got us back more than an hour ahead of time, and we didn't skip any content. So they're very serious about it, and I've talked to several of the tour guides. And again, they work with Oceania because Oceania is predictable. They will not work with other cruise lines because they're very serious of guaranteeing to return you to the ship on time. One negative with them is that every sales is a different receipt, whereas in Oceania it all rolls into one receipt. With short excursions, you're going to get multiple different order numbers, and you've got to kind of track those as you go to manage short excursions. So, for example, we're doing some tours with them on our World Cruise. I think I have 3 different order numbers, and I have to try and kind of track, well, which tours are on which order numbers. It'd be better if they rolled it all into one. Tours by locals, Viator are also viable options, but you have to double check with them that they're going to get you back to the cruise ship on time, or that they're even serving the cruise ship. A lot of times they're just picking up from local hotels. So it requires a greater degree of scrutiny. But again, we do use them, we do like them, and we always communicate when we first join them, when the ship is leaving, our desire to be back more than an hour ahead of time. And then we work together to make that happen. Or we walk away. We don't do the tour because it's not going to be a good fit. But as we're doing our world tour, we're using all of these different services based on what's being offered. And then finally, of course, you can do tours by you. We've done this as well, where we get off the ship, take the free um, bus into town, and then hire a taxi, and then work around that port in that city. There's a website out there called What's in Port. I use it extensively. It's great, got great insight into 1,200 different ports. The web interface looks a little dated, but the content is highly functional. I highly recommend it. Cruise Critic is another um, valuable resource that allows you to look at where the free shuttles are that may give you insight where you could hire a taxi and do different things. There's also a Facebook site run by one of my friends actually that does the same thing, and that the going on consensus right now is the site run by Joan is actually the best resource. And then finally, sometimes staying on the ship, doing a tour of your eyelids is the best possible tour because you need a little bit of a break. So tours by you can work out very well. We do, my wife and I, hiking tours by ourselves, and we will do beach day tours by ourselves as well in appropriate venues where it's safe to do so. When I look at the 2026 World Cruise and Shore Excursions, you can look at the kind of table below, and if you look over at the status, you'll see sometimes we're just going to stay on board, sometimes we're using shore excursions, sometimes we're doing a self-guided tour, sometimes we're doing Oceania. And so there's a whole mix there. And then the table on the right is actually looking at the 2026 World Cruise, and those are summary statistics where I'm doing, my wife and I are doing 58 tours, or about 32% with Oceania. 9% are going to be with the Shore Excursions Group. The 20 that are self-guided could be either us or Tours by Locals or Viator. And then we've got 70 days at sea, and then 16 days where we've decided that we're probably just going to stay on the ship because we've either been to that port, we fully explored that venue. Now that means we may get off the ship and go eat at a restaurant, but we're not going to do a tour. It's going to be a much more relaxed day. The last thing is your tender statistics. You know, again, as I mentioned earlier, the days that you're in port, you have lots of flexibility. The days that you have a tender, you need to be a little bit more careful. And luckily for us on the Oceania 2026 World Cruise, we only have 14% of our ports where we're using a particular tender. All right, well, let me move into the shore excursions, seven deadly sins. And I need to move through this quickly because I have like stories on all of these. I've seen all of these happen. So you absolutely do not want to be late returning to the ship. We always insist, it's not strive, we insist that we are going to be back at the ship an hour early. You also don't want to be late for a shore excursion. You want to be early because the shore excursion may depart early or want to depart early, and then you've got a busload of people all waiting for you. And so just be considerate, have empathy for others. If the tour is called early, down in the lounge, you want to be there early so that you can go with the group, get on the bus, depart early, get back early, and enjoy your tour. The third one is really important and it requires a balancing act, but you need to be physically and mentally capable of doing the tour. And again, I've been on tours where the tour, guide pulled someone aside and said, I don't think you're physically capable of this. And the passenger insisted that they were. And 2 miles later, up the trail, 500 feet of elevation climb, the person falls down and can't get up and is going to have to be evacuated out. And then everybody on that tour, while you have empathy that this happened, you also have concern that the tour guide talked to the person right before the tour began and expressed their concerns. And so please don't be that person. Live your life to your fullest, but also recognize the physical and mental constraints that you have. Don't wander off and not tell the tour guide where the entire tour is sitting there waiting for you. Don't assume that you're going to hand someone off that has special needs and that the tour guide now becomes the personal guide or the babysitter when it's a larger group. Again, have empathy and kindness and all of this, but at the same time, be respectful of others and that these are group tours. If you need a personal guide, do a private tour. It's always there so that you can do that. And again, we've done that where we were doing something more strenuous and we wanted a personal guide so that we could adjust the pace to our physical capabilities. So lack of empathy and kindness on all parts, please have that. It's a group activity. Be kind, have empathy, solve those issues you can by yourselves and let the tour guide focus on the entire group. And then be situationally aware of what's going on around you. And I'll finish. There's some song lyrics from Iron Maiden. Perhaps you can't see it, but it just seems to be absolutely perfect for this. And I realize there are probably not a lot of Iron Maiden fans on Oceania Cruises. Maybe they are, but the lyrics are just perfect for the seven deadly sins associated with shore excursions. All right, so that brings me to the summary. How you do your shore excursions is personal. Pick what's right for you. Don't judge others. Everybody's different in this, but pick what's right. You have lots, tens of thousands of choices out there through Oceania, shore excursions, Viator, and tours by locals. So find what's good for you, or doing tour by yourself is great. As you're doing that, consider the activity pace, cost, group size, and convenience as you're doing that, and don't commit one of the seven deadly sins of conducting a tour. All right, well, very good. That brings us to the very end of this short video on how shore excursions work on Oceania Cruise Lines. I hope you've enjoyed this video by Carver Clan Travels, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.